processors, CPU, whatever you wanna call it, the brain of the PC, the second most important component for gaming, and probably the most important one for rendering videos and streaming. And it's a fact that if you want a gaming PC, you can't buy a good GPU if your CPU is going to be trash. That's called bottleneck. We are not getting into that, but my point is that you can't have a good gaming PC if your CPU is bad. That's why I will bring you the best CPUs to play video games in 2021. Remember that this is for gaming. I'll make a video about best CPUs for editing in a future, but this one is not about it. I am going to go from the cheapest to the most expensive one. So depending on your budget, you can decide what CPU to buy. Let's get right into the top. At number 7, we have the i3-10100F. This one is really good for 1080p gaming and it's cheap. It's around $145, so if you want to start gaming, this is the one to go. And I'm not going to get into details about CPU speeds, threads, and all that stuff because I know a lot of people don't really know about it. So for you to understand me, I'm going to explain it to you as if you're new to gaming. This one will get the job done at 1080p and in my opinion is the best budget CPU right now. And if you spend $5 more, you can get the i5-9400F, which I don't really recommend because like I said, this video is about gaming and the i3 is way better at gaming than the i5-9400F. Maybe at editing and rendering videos, the i5 is better, but if you're searching to play video games, you want to save those $5, buy a chocolate and buy the i3 10th generation. And another thing to mention is that the i3 was made in 2020, so it has a newer architecture. Moving into number 6, we have the i5-10600KF, and this one is way better than the i3, literally a 30 FPS difference in some heavy games, and the price difference is not that much. It's about $45 price difference, which for a 30 FPS difference for me it's a deal. But if you don't have those extra $40, don't worry about it, just go for the i3. You can't go wrong with any of these two, but the i5 it's really good at editing and rendering too. So if you want to play games and edit videos, the i5 is definitely the better choice and you won't regret spending those extra $40. But again, that's up to your budget. Now moving to the next one, we have the i5-11400. This one is really similar to the i5-10600KF. At some games it's going to perform better and in other games it's going to perform worse, although in most of the games it's going to be better. So what's the main difference? Well, basically the i5-11400 was made in 2021, so if you want a newer CPU, you may wanna buy this one. The price difference is not that high, it's around $20 more expensive, but the gaming difference is not that high either. So you decide if you want to spend $20 more just for the structure. My personal recommendation is for you to go with the i5-10600KF, but you decide. At number 4, we have the i5-11600K, and here things start to get more expensive, but the performance start to get much better. And we are talking about 6 FPS difference in 1440p Ultra playing Flight Simulator. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, I mean that 6 FPS difference in a game like Flight Simulator, it's a lot. The price for this one, it's around $250. So although it's expensive, I think that it's viable and will perform really well for years to come. So if you want a really strong CPU that is going to be durable, this one is the one for you. And if you got the money to buy it, no doubt it will not disappoint you. Next, we have the i9-10900F, and yeah, believe it or not, this one is at number 3, and the reason for that is that the next two are the best. But of course, you cannot go wrong with this one. If you have a high-end GPU like the RTX 3070, 3080 or even 3090, this one will fit perfectly with your GPU. But for gaming, the difference between this one and the last one is not that big, so if you just want to play video games, I don't recommend you going for this one instead of the last one, because you're spending $100 extra. But if you want to render videos, stream with one PC, then this one is much better, but much expensive. So what do you want? Only play video games or play video games and stream with one PC at the same time? That's the question that you have to ask to yourself. Personally, I don't think you need the i9 unless you want to become a really good streamer, but even then, you don't have to start with the i9, like at all. And I'm a budget dude, so I will save $100 and buy another thing or get a better GPU. With the number 2, we have the Ryzen 5 5600X, which is only $20 more expensive than the i9 10900F. But here, you only going to notice the difference when you have a high-end GPU like the RTX 3080. If you have a GTX 1660, you are not going to notice any difference. But anyway, if you have that GPU, I don't recommend you going for any of these CPUs. I recommend you going for the i5 CPUs. But back to the Ryzen 5, the main difference is for rendering and editing. For gaming, it has a difference, yeah, but if you have a high-end GPU. And for the last one, we have the Ryzen 9 5900X, which again, this is not about gaming anymore, because at gaming you will be good even with the i5 11400. And again, if you want a gaming difference, you need a 4K monitor and the RTX 3090. The main difference here is for rendering and editing. Once again, this one has 24 threads, which if you understand about threads, it's a lot. It's like way faster than the other ones. So if you're going to buy this one, you don't have to worry about editing, streaming, gaming, or any of these things. You just have to worry about having a good time, I guess. So that was the list, but if you want to inform yourself even more about gaming PCs and technology, I have my website in the description of the video where you can read a lot of blogs about pre-build and PC builds so you can start your new gaming experience with the right foot. And not only that, but you have keyboard, monitor, and mice blogs too. So even if you don't need recommendations about gaming PCs, maybe you need a recommendation about a gaming mouse. So if you check that out, that would be awesome. And let me know in the comments what you think about these CPUs. Are you going to buy one? By the way, the links to these CPUs are in the description of the video. So without more to say, I'll see you next time.